Over the past maybe 10 years, I've been learning more and more about missions. There was a speaker and a group that came to our church several times regarding Moldova, and I think that actually piqued my interest. Then I began to hear about Ukraine, and I even asked, where is Ukraine? And I was told it's right next to Moldova. And all of a sudden I realized that God was pointing me more to Ukraine than he was to Moldova. And then the first opportunity I had to come to Ukraine opened up, and about the same time I found out that my father had been diagnosed with lung cancer. And yes, I'm a nurse. I've always worked in OBGYN with a little internal medicine, but I did not know what the walk with a loved one who had lung cancer entailed. And I was committed to walk that walk with my dad. And when it came down to making that final decision whether or not I was going to go to Ukraine, I decided I needed to honor my father and not leave his side during this illness. Well, when the trip actually took place and everybody came back telling us about their experiences on the trip, I looked at my dad and he still seemed to be in pretty good health, even though he was being treated for lung cancer. I could have taken that trip and my dad would have been fine for a week with me being in Ukraine. And it was like I could hear God whispering, when I ask you to do something, I know you can do it and I will provide the way. So when the next trip came available, my dad was getting sicker, but I still heard God asking me to go or telling me to go to Ukraine. And I said, I've learned my lesson, Lord, and I'm going to step out in faith that I will be going to Ukraine. And my dad continued to get sicker, and I still had that nudging that maybe I really shouldn't be going to Ukraine. I should be taking care of my dad. But then I heard God say, I have this, Judy. If I want you in Ukraine, you can be fine planning to go to Ukraine. And my father continued to get sicker to the point I was praying for mercy for my father. And 2 weeks before the group coming on that trip to Ukraine, my father passed away. My dad knew the Lord. He knows the Lord. He's with the Lord now. He was ready to go home. He just wasn't ready to leave us. But he is home. I knew that's where he was. And 2 weeks later, I was on that trip to Ukraine. And I knew that God had provided. And if I ever doubt his provision, I have that experience to draw upon. That if God has asked me to do something, I don't need to doubt that he has it already figured out. He knows what my response is going to be, and he has it already worked out. And I just need to step out and say, yes, Lord, send me.